All right, I think we are live. My computer has been acting all weird and everything seems to have some delay. So I hope you guys can see me and hear me okay. And I hope it's not too much of a delay. But I just want to check again. I always like to check and make sure that Facebook is doing what it's supposed to do because I'll be talking and talking to myself, which you know me, I have no problem talking to myself. I do it all the time. But today I'm talking to you. It is, oh, look, I see the lights in my glass. We got all the lights today because it is rainy, it's dark, it's gloomy. So we got all the lights. So, um, yeah, that's we're here. We're here, y'all. So, we are talking about the ROI of media. So, here's the deal. I was on a call yesterday with a powerful, powerful group of women. Um, and as we're all doing introductions and I'm listening to them, and my producer brain is doing what it does. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you have these incredible stories that need to be shared. And out of all of the women in the room, I think there may have been three who say that they've actually done media. And I'm just looking, I'm like, you should be doing media. You should be doing media. Oh my gosh. And so when we talked about why they weren't doing media, there was a lot of stuff that came up. And so I always like to use my real life experiences to create content like this, because I know that if these powerful, badass women are feeling this way, lots of other people are too. So I'm using this as an opportunity to address it. Let me just bring my little standing desk up a little bit. We got to keep it moving, keep our steps in. So, so let's talk about some of the questions that came up on this call yesterday. And I think that a lot of you guys may be feeling the same thing. So let's just put it out there. Let's talk about it. Bring your concerns and questions to the room. So one of the big questions that came up was, what kind of ROI can I expect from a media feature? Right? Um, I put out a crazy offer, as you guys know, and actually that offer is now off the table because 20 minutes ago the cart closed. But I put out a crazy offer as part of my mastermind to work with me for a month, 30 days for $1,000. Now, for those of you who know me, you know your girl don't do nothing for $1,000. But, sometimes I just like to throw out something crazy, have some fun, and it's also a great give back, realistically. And so I had several people who took me up on that offer. But I also had a few people who I thought it was a perfect offer for. And one of the things that came up was, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it for me to invest to be seen on TV? So I want to talk about that, the benefits of being featured on TV and what kind of ROI you can actually expect from getting featured in the media. So for those of you who know me, I'm a two-time Emmy Award-winning producer. And for those of you who don't, yes, I'm a two-time Emmy Award-winning producer. So I'm Stacia Crawford. I've been in television for over 35 years, worked in some of the largest television markets in the country, from Philadelphia, Chicago. I've worked in Baltimore, New Haven. And as a PR and media strategist, my clients have been getting high-level media exposure, everything from Good Morning America to CBS Evening News, Wall Street Journal, oh my gosh, Oprah Magazine, Black Enterprise, Real Simple, Vogue, Vanity Fair. We could go on and on. That's what I do for my clients. I get them the visibility that they need to grow their business so that they can live the life of their dreams. In a nutshell, that's me. So let me ask you, when you see somebody that is featured on TV, or you see somebody who's in Forbes or Black Enterprise or, Oprah's Favorite Things, CBS Evening News, for example, right? And you see people on these major platforms, what is the first thing that comes to mind for you? And I think for most people, they think authority, right? Like, this person is definitely an authority in their field. They think credibility because media gives them that. And they think success. When you see people on TV, you're like, that person is successful, right? Well, the truth is, getting featured in the media is not just about looking good and looking successful. It's about positioning yourself to make more money, to get more clients, to get better clients, right? To really open more doors for you in all areas of your business. and ultimately make more money, because that's what we do as business owners. If you're not making money, you don't have a business. That's your job, right? Make money. So today we're going to talk about the return on the investment, the ROI that you get from media exposure, right? Both short term and long term, because many people will tell you that PR and media is a long game, and it absolutely is. But there's also a lot of short term benefits as well. So sometimes people will say, they will expect to do a media interview and then watch it instantly bring in sales. And yes, that can happen. Absolutely. But the real power of media is in the long game. So when you do media, one of the things that you will typically see right away, pretty quickly, is you will see an increase in your website traffic, right? People see you on TV, they're going to your website to kind of check you out, right? They're going to do their research and, vet you and all of that. The other thing that you'll see is typically people will go check out your social media, right? They're going to want to follow you. You'll see more friend requests, more engagement on your posts and reels and things like that. And you'll also see people requesting to work with you and maybe even joining your email list. So that's oftentimes very quick, sometimes instantaneous. But there's also the long-term ROI that people often don't think about. This is sometimes overlooked, but this is what media can do for you over time. You will generally see, when done right, you'll see higher conversions because, number one, that credibility. When you are seen on high-level media outlets, you get instant credibility. People know you've been vetted, right? Everybody can do social media, but not everybody's going to be on TV. So when you're on TV, instantly you stand out as a more credible source. And that means even more credible than ads, right? Yeah, you got ads going, whatever. People are seeing you, they're clicking, they're buying. But you get more credibility from being seen on television. You're also going to get more speaking opportunities, because those event organizers and those meeting planners are booking experts that they see in the media. They're not just looking to book any Joe Blow. They want experts. You're a bona fide expert when you're seen on TV. Now, you're also going to see, over that long term, you will see more brand partnerships, more collaborations. And these will now come from bigger companies, because again, those bigger companies, they're wanting to work with experts. Media gives you that expertise. And then you are also going to have an ability to raise your price, because when people see you on TV, they know you don't come cheap. So you can actually charge more because you're now positioned as an authority. And so each of these wins, as you're showing up in the media consistently, you're stacking them. And so the more that you're seen, the more leverage you have, more leverage in the marketplace, right? So again, that's really how it works in the long term. And the long term and the short term, they go together. Now, when you think in terms of media leading to sales, a lot of times people trust what they see in the media more than they trust ads, right? Even sometimes you might even see, say, for example, we see a lot of celebrities, right? Athletes, singers, all these people doing ads. And, we're coming up on the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. We're going to see a whole lot of that, right? And these are ads that people pay millions of dollars for. I want to say, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I want to say it was $7 million for 30 seconds for a Super Bowl ad. Now, most small business owners ain't got that kind of cash. So when you are seen in the media, you get that instant credibility because you're vetted and you're seen as an expert. But when you're seen in an ad, people know that you paid for that ad. So, are you the best? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you just had enough money to get somebody to say you were the best, right? So people are skeptical. And then in the age that we're in right now, with social media and so many bad things happening, people are very skeptical. But when you're seen in the media, you get what we really think of as a third-party validation. So people see you in the media, they see you instantly as an expert. It removes that skepticism. So suddenly, instead of you chasing people, now those leads, the right clients, are coming to you. That's the power of the media. So when you're seen in the media, you're perceived as an expert, right? You are an authority in your industry at the top of your game. People feel more confident giving you their money, right? They feel more secure in investing in your offers. And then your premium positioning is going to allow you to charge more. So think about that. You see somebody on, again, Good Morning America, or they're quoted in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. Don't you automatically assume that they're a trusted expert? Most people do. That's the power of the media. Now, I can give you a real life example of this. For example, my client Ria, last week she did a radio interview. Simple, short and sweet, cut and dry. I think it was maybe 20 minutes long. And that interview alone, because we targeted the right outlet, right? I don't do spray and pray. I'm not throwing spaghetti at the wall hoping it works. We do very targeted media. And so because she got to speak in front of an audience of her ideal clients, that interview alone led to a 5-figure sale. Why? Because someone listening realized that she was exactly what they needed. So this is you showing up on the right platforms at the right time, instantly, money in the bank account, right? She had so many people who were calling her on that radio interview. She gave a phone number, phone was ringing off the hook before the interview was even over. Quality leads. So then yesterday, Ria did a TV interview. And before she even left that studio, her phone was blowing up, right? This was people, potential clients, people like, oh my gosh, I need to know more. I want to work with you. I got to do this, right? And this is all because of her showing up in the media and not just showing up talking about random stuff. And I'll give you a little bit more about that. Like what you say is very important. How you say it is very important. But she was also able to land 2 high-level speaking engagements. She's going to be doing workshops with powerful organizations that need her expertise. How did they find her? She was in the media. She showed up. So she now is standing out because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are applying for those opportunities, but now they see her. They're like, oh, forget them. We want you, because they've gotten to experience her on a different level rather than somebody who's just filling out an application for an opportunity. So that's the kind of ROI that we're talking about. So it's not just about getting the media exposure. It's really about knowing how to turn that media attention into actual revenue, right? I call it turn your interviews into revenue. So now that we know why the media is so powerful, I want you to ask yourself, why are you not doing it? Because this is what when I walk into rooms and I'm having conversations with people, my producer brain is going off and I'm just like, oh my gosh, why is this person not doing media? And when I was in the circle with these powerful, powerful women yesterday, there were certain fears that came up, right? Like when I would ask them, well, why aren't you doing media? The same fears kept popping up. And often it's in that same vein of, well, who am I to be in the media, right? Like, who wants to hear from me? If you have ever doubted whether you are media worthy, stick with me, because I'm about to break that mindset wide open, because a lot of people don't look at media this way. So I'm about to flip it on its head and you'll see what I'm talking about. So a lot of people will say they feel that they're not ready, right? Oh, I'm just not ready yet. That's a fear in and of itself. But basically what it comes down to is this imposter syndrome, which we all have it. Let's face it, even the biggest celebrities have it, right? So don't feel bad that you have it. I have it. We all deal with it on some level. And basically what it is it's media worthiness, right? We're telling ourselves, media is not looking for me, right? They're not looking for me. Why would they want to hear from me? You are an expert and you have to own that. Just like you own that in the boardroom, you own that when you're doing, working with your clients. You have to own it when you're dealing with the media as well. Sometimes people will think, well, I'm not famous, right? Why would media want to talk to me? I'm not famous. The media is not looking for celebrities. They are looking for experts with real solutions. That's what it's all about. So you have people who are sitting down watching these shows. They're not sitting there because they ain't got nothing better to do. They're sitting there because they have a problem and they're looking for a solution. And so you have that solution. You just have to be willing to share it, and sharing it in the right way and in the right place. Many people will even say, I don't have a huge following, right? Like, I don't have that many social media followers. I had someone ask me about that yesterday. Traditional media, they don't care about the size of your audience. They don't care about your followers. They really want stories that are going to resonate with their audiences. That's who this thing is about. It's not about you. It's about their audience and bringing them stories and insight that really is going to resonate with that audience. And then some people will say, well, I don't really have a crazy backstory, right? I'm just little old me out here doing my thing. And the truth of the matter is, the real media stories that journalists are looking for, the best media stories, they're not always the most dramatic. What they are is relatable and valuable. And this is why targeted media is so important, because your story is not going to resonate with everybody. But we find those right platforms where we put you in front of the people who are going to be able to relate to it. So your perspective is absolutely needed. Media is always looking for fresh voices and fresh faces. So think of it like this. You have a powerful story. You have insight. You have knowledge. You have wisdom. And if you don't share that, what'll happen is somebody else in your industry, they will. And what they will do is they will tell a less powerful version of that story. Literally, they will, right? I had a client who felt the same way. Tanya felt like, I'm not special, right? She really thought that she was nothing special. And I sit and I talk with this one, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you are brilliant. And so I had to show her all the value that she brought to the table, her expertise, her wisdom, her insights, her knowledge. Now she's been featured on television. And let me tell you, she was terrified of TV. She's a writer, and she's like, oh, I love to write. She doesn't mind doing interviews with people and being featured in magazines, but she was terrified of being on TV. But we had to work with her. We trained her, put her on TV, and she absolutely crushed it. She absolutely crushed that interview, but she was terrified. But we had to work through those fears. That's what we do. I will never take, a client and get you featured and then just throw you out there to the wolves. Like, okay, good luck with that. Have fun. Hope you do a good job. No, we don't do that. Right. So if that is a part of your fear, this is what we do inside of my programs. This is how I work with my clients. So this fear that shows up, sometimes it will come up. People might hesitate, being seen in the spotlight because they fear of criticism, right? Like, what if people don't like me? What if I make a mistake? What if I don't do it right? Right? They fear this criticism, the negative comments. What if I get trolled online? Or sometimes people even think, is this going to bring me some unwanted attention, right? This exposure, is it going to, now they have privacy concerns, and they're all valid. But the truth of the matter is, visibility is power, because the more people see you, the more they trust you. And then the more opportunities are going to come your way. Media will open doors for you that you didn't even know existed. This is how your name gets spoken in rooms that you don't even know about. This is how opportunities pop up on your doorstep and you're like, oh my God, where did that come from? Okay. So when you have this fear of being seen, there's really a couple of things that you can do to really work through that. So this is, what I help my clients do, because many of them, even who've been featured on major global platforms and media outlets, still have some of the same fear. So what we have to do is, first thing you do is reframe it. So when you think of the criticism, really look at it as a sign of success. Because the truth of the matter is, haters don't criticize people that they don't notice. So when people are criticizing, it's like, oh, they see me. And deep down inside, we all have a desire to be seen and to be heard. So now people are seeing you, because yes, the haters are going to come. right? The fact that somebody even has an opinion of you, that means that you're making an impact. I mean, you can look at any successful public figure. Nobody is loved by everybody. Even when you think about Beyonce, right? One of the biggest pop stars in the world right now, people criticize Beyonce when she did Beyonce Bowl, right? Last month, haters came out of the woodwork. Oh my gosh, why would she do that? This was terrible. She can't sing. Why is she on a horse? That's not country music. Da, da, da. It was a whole bunch of things. But also the people who love her loved on her more, right? They were like, oh my gosh, she's the queen. She's still amazing. Oh my gosh, I wish I could be there. So she got as much love as she got criticism. It happens, right? And so even the biggest stars have to deal with that. And of course, you won't deal with that on the same level that she does, but criticism still hurts. I get it. But what you have to do is you have to shift that focus from yourself to the people that you help. So as an expert, you have this expertise, you have this brilliance. And instead of worrying about what people are going to say about it, you have to ask yourself, who needs to hear my message? Who is this going to help? Me being on TV, how is this going to benefit someone? What I'm going to share, how is this going to transform and change somebody's life? And when you focus on that and really showing up as a leader and serving your audience, that fear goes away. Because now the fear is not the most important thing. The fear is not the focus. It's still there, right? It's like we say, we don't let fear drive the car. It's still there, but I'm in control. I'm driving because I have a dedicated message that I'm here to deliver. That's really how you got to look at it. And then you never go in just trying to wing it, right? You have to prepare and you have to practice. And we do this with our clients, right? Confidence comes from preparation. And media training is a very, very, very important part of our process. So, we really use our media training to help our clients get polished, to give them confidence, make sure that they are in control of every interview. Because a lot of times people think, oh, well, I'm going to go do this media interview and they're in control. I'll just answer whatever questions they happen to put my way. And it's like, no, that's not what this is. You are in control of the interview. So you have to know your talking points. You have to be very clear in your delivery. And that comes from practice. And that way you will feel less vulnerable when that camera rolls out, when that microphone goes on, right? Because you've prepared and you have practiced. And then you get to control that narrative, right? You get in front of the media, you are now shaping the story, positioning yourself as an expert instead of letting others define you, right? You're like, this is my area. This is my jam. You can't, like, when it comes to media, you can't tell me nothing about media. I own this. 35 years. I own this. And so you have to really approach your area the exact same way. And then filter out the negativity. Not everybody's going to agree with what you have to say. Not everybody's opinion even matters. So when those negative comments come in, don't read them, right? You block the trolls. Keep your focus on the people that you have come to support and the people who respect you and your work. It's just that simple. Right? So your visibility is going to attract opportunities, and we focus on those. The people who need you need to be able to find you. And if you're not showing up in the media, then you're missing out on those opportunities. And that means you're missing out on a chance to help somebody who absolutely needs you. So as long as you stay hidden, you will stay broke. You will be missing out on money. So you can let the fear stop you, or you can really step into your own power and own your own expertise. You get to define who you are. And this is a platform and just one vehicle that you can use to do that. Now, I was talking a little bit about how we work with our clients and kind of helping them go through that, kind of work through that fear process, right? But a lot of people who do media, they get featured and then they'll say things like, oh, well, yeah, I was on TV, but it didn't do anything for me. It didn't make me more money. It didn't sell my books. It didn't do this. It didn't do that. That's because there is a difference between just getting featured, right? Getting that interview. Everybody thinks that's the hard part. No, that's just the beginning. It actually comes down to, are you maximizing your media? So there is a difference between getting featured in the media and maximizing your media. So many people will get featured, but they don't know how to leverage it for impact and for revenue. So this is where having a PR strategist makes all the difference. It makes all the difference, because you've done that interview. Now what? Now what? You think that interview is going to do the work. No, you got to do the heavy lifting. So what I do is, when I work with my clients is, I really work with them to, number one, craft the right story angles, because what you may think is a great story. Well, first of all, a lot of people don't even think they have a story. They think they are the story. And in many cases, that's not the case. Media doesn't really, they don't really care about half the stuff that you think they care about. So having been in television for 35 years, I know what journalists want. And so I help you craft the right story angles. And then I prepare you for those interviews so that you're not, thinking you're going to go in there and wing it. And then the camera goes on and you freeze and you're sitting there like a deer in the headlights, for 10 seconds, which is an eternity in TV time, right? That is the perfect amount of time for an interview to just go totally haywire. And it's hard to get it back because you didn't prepare. So we don't want you to freeze up. And then on the other hand, we also don't want you to ramble. So how do you stay on topic? How do you stay on time? So whether you have 20 minutes or 2 minutes, you will leave that studio every single time having delivered the message that you came to deliver. That is a skill. That is not a wing it opportunity. It is a skill. Okay. And so we help you to now show up so that you can monetize that media attention on the back end. When you don't have a strategy, then what happens is, can you get media? Absolutely. Can you show up on TV? Sure. But you're probably going to be missing some very key elements. And number one would be a call to action. Most people don't know what a powerful call to action is when they're doing media. That's not just, oh, hey, go to my website. You deliver this interview and then at the end you're like, oh yeah, and go to stayreadymedia.com. That is not a powerful call to action. So we actually structure your interviews so that you deliver a powerful call to action so that people can't help but go learn more about you. They can't help but want to work with you. Now, the other thing is, oftentimes if you're not working with a strategist, you might see a few more hits on your website, but you won't see conversions. That is a key sign that you didn't really know what you were doing. You didn't have a strategy. You were just kind of out there. Okay, let me go do this. You weren't prepared. So you don't have conversions from the increase in traffic that you're seeing. But really, when you work with a strategy and you have that right guidance, your media becomes a lead generation machine, like a well-oiled machine where leads are coming in and you are closing them. And what do you get? Cha-ching, money in the bank account. Okay. That's it. That's what it looks like. So media builds your long-term authority, right? And your revenue. You are absolutely ready. You just need the right positioning. You need the right positioning. Stop trying to do it yourself and really get an expert, right? A strategist, somebody who really knows what they're doing. You need somebody like me on your team that can really make all the difference between you just doing random media and real business growth. So, and we're going for real business growth. We ain't got time to be doing spray and pray and random stuff. So I have a call in a few minutes. I got to go. But if you are considering media after hearing this and you think, this girl might know what she's talking about. Maybe I am ready. Or maybe you're even working with a PR team and you're not getting the results that you want, right? If you're not seeing ROI in your business from your media, then the team is doing something wrong. And so here's what I will do for you. I'll do a PR audit. So if you're considering media, or if you want to see what's going on with why you're not getting results from a PR team that you're working with, just drop audit in the comments. And then what I will do is I'll reach out to you and we can hop on a quick 15-minute call And I can personally, I can look at the strategy that your PR team is using to kind of see what's working and what's not and how you can make it better. Or we can actually lay out what it would look like for us to work together so that you can bring me on as part of your PR team and we can actually start making some money from your media. Like you literally need to be in front of millions more people. So let's draft a strategy so that we can make that happen. So just drop audit in the comments and we'll hop on a call. Just 15 minutes. If that's worth it to you, let's do it. Okay. All right. I got to run because I have another call and ooh, this dreary weather is driving me crazy. But I will see you guys soon. And yeah, continue to watch this space because I'm going to be bringing more and more value and helping you to grow your business through powerful media exposure. All right. I love you guys. Bye.